Okay, this is our writer, and then what I'm going to be showing you guys is how Auto Apps works. So that work in progress and this work in progress are the same thing. What we wanted to accomplish with Auto Apps is making it really easy for you to be able to click on the parts and see which parts are ordered, which still need to be ordered, and what's here, which would be in the green, the blue, and the orange. We actually do time management on the parts. I'll show you that. We wanted to be able to look at how many jobs you had on each invoice, and with a product we call Tech Connect, the technicians actually time in. That's what you see with the yellow wrenches. The technicians are actually working on those cars. And then the technicians go in and mark the jobs finished so we can manage what we call labor hours. And then another piece is being able to prioritize the vehicles you want to deliver today. So we moved everything to being labor hour focused. Another feature that we've got that we wanted to solve was in our writer, you have an issue where, let's see if I pull one up. That you have the total of all the jobs that they're working on trying to sell a customer. Then you have stuff that we call decline. And with the declines and the customer, when you're talking to the customer, you got to jump between the parts and calculations. And then if the customer says, well, how much is it without doing the flushes or without doing the brakes? And the interface with the customer became different. So what we wanted to do, and just to show you right here, you simply click on the vehicle, and we're able to give you the total of each job and the decline all on the same screen for pricing. So if a customer says, oh, how much is it if I don't do the wheel bearing and the alignment today? So we just quickly reprice that, and so we make the selling and quoting to the customer very quick and smooth, along with what we call the decline work. So what Auto Apps does is solves a lot of the problems that service advisors had when communicating with the customer. So with that, and I can instantly turn this to a decline so I have full interface into that. Along with being able to do that, you can click on the parts or click on the job, and it brings up all the parts that are attached and gives you the pricing behind the scenes and your labor times and all that. So this again just lays right on top of our writer. You can see here's the PartsTech interface. So I'm kind of going to show you how that works. So in our setup, you see a setup right here. Several things that we had to do to make sure that we were successful with PartsTech is be able to do things that such as, and I'm going to go into, once you go into setup right here, you go into PartsTech account, and this is where you put in the user ID and the user key. So it's just that simple. The minute you put it in there, you activate PartsTech. When Service Estimator, we have some features where we're calculating sales tax, shop supplies, and upcharge, and then we have what we call intelligent pricing set up. So the difference in the intelligent pricing setup is all our writer customers are very used to what we call linear pricing, meaning that if the cost of the part is $50, I want to make a 65% margin, and if it's $200, I want to make a 54% margin. So this is what we call our price breaks. So we built this in, so instead of using list price, we're calculating what the selling price will be based on the margins that each service center wants to make on those parts. Because it becomes, what we can't have is selling a part $20, $30, $40 cheaper than I would have normally sold it if I had bought it through SmartyCat through our writer. So you simply save that. So simply in PartsTech, you're setting up the PartsTech. You don't have to worry about the estimator. That's what the Auto Apps team does, is when we're working with the customers, we set that up. So again, looking at parts, but let's say I want to go into this Chevrolet Tahoe, and he came in, you're looking at the brakes, you're doing a vehicle inspection, and you find out that the water pump's leaking. You also recommend a thermostat. It needs front brakes, needs rotors. Then we wanted to make it really easy just to be able to jump to the service jobs, and if I wanted to look up a water pump, I just simply type in water pump, and these are looking up the service jobs in RWriter. So if I wanted to drag and drop that straight onto the ticket, we just do that. If I wanted a thermostat, I can just type in thermostat, just bring up a thermostat. Let's say I want to do brakes. I could type in brake, and this is just simply bringing all the jobs up that I want to put in this particular case. I want to do a front disc brake reline. So now I've added my jobs. Some of them will be canned, some of them will actually look up the labor. So with putting the jobs on, now we're going to go on and look up the parts. So what we've done with PartsTech is everything's based on a session. So when I open a session with this vehicle and this invoice, it'll stay with that session until I order from the cart. So what we're teaching our clients is, let's say I want to look up a water pump, and of course you're using the parts description terminology, so I'm going to look up that water pump. Now what's new for an RWriter customer is they're used to looking up parts based on line codes, and you guys don't use line codes. And another feature that's important is the fact that you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, and you have the manufacturer's picture for each water pump. So this is a feature we can go in. So we would simply add that water pump, add that thermostat to the shopping cart. We can live in so once I've established a relationship in that shopping cart, if I leave it and I actually leave the invoice and I come back to it, oops, sorry about that, and I go back to Service Estimator, I'm always still living inside that shopping cart. So that that session ID won't go away until, and let's say now I want to look up a serpentine belt. So that session ID is not going to go away until I order from that shopping cart. Or of course, we can look around. I go ahead and add that belt. Next, I want to add, of course, the disc pads. And then what's nice for the service advisor is we can be building an estimate, go leave and do other things, and come back, and we're still live with looking at all our parts and everything is inside the shopping cart. And then I've got the labor turned on, so we're looking up the labor for that too. Okay. Having a tough time thinking. It looks like let me just stop and we'll come back into it. Now you'll notice here where we say download parts from the cart and purchase from the cart. So again, if I just click on download parts from the cart, it's simply going to bring anything that's in the PartsTech cart to the front screen right here. And this is where I can go in, and you'll notice if I was to bring these parts in, The price is $84. The list price is $142. I can just grab that part and just add it right to that invoice, right to that labor job. I can grab that thermostat. At the same time, if we wanted to, and let's say I want to put the serpentine belt. Now, when we designed this originally, we realized real quickly that we had to make this intelligent. And what I mean by that is we had to be able to say, hey, I can't drag that part in once it's been dragged in. So we show you where we're at on that part. And you see I searched 2 water pumps. I ended up using that 1 water pump. So I would want to go back to the cart and get rid of one of those water pumps. And I'm not going to buy the water pump from WorldPack, so I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to go ahead and search the disc pads now. And of course, when you're searching a part where you're looking at 60 parts, it just takes longer. But let's just go back. Let's not get hung up here. Let's go back here. Now, you'll notice if I clicked on download parts from the cart, it's going to, whatever I deleted took it away. Now, if I tried to, let's say I wanted to buy those parts. Now, when I want to take you back into this, you'll notice that when I brought that water pump in, we put it in at the intelligent pricing of $60 at 60% gross profit. So it priced it out at $212. It priced the serpentine belt at 65% or $107. So we're using the intelligent pricing to price out the parts. What we also can do is bring in the labor time and step on the labor time for that job. If I was to go to buy from the cart, again, we're looking at this, and these parts aren't approved. You can see they're what we call recommend or declined. So if I tried to buy those parts right now, it's going to say, hey, these aren't approved. You can't buy from those. So ideally, when you're talking to the customer and you're talking to them about what they need to be, and they give you the approval, you're simply going to click approved. Again, click approved on the thermostat, and it just moves all these to approved and leaves the pending to be the brake job for a later date. So now I can go to purchase from the cart, and you can see they're all green. I can buy from the cart. It's going to come back and say the cart was purchased successfully. And what we've also done at the same time is we've put those parts on order. So we were intelligent enough to know that we ordered them. We moved the order number into the invoice number in our writer. We actually track the date and the time the part was ordered. When you receive the parts in, we'll track the date and the time that the parts were received. Now, if we go back to our writer, and I go back to that job in our writer, and this is the Tahoe right here, you can see here's my parts. There's the invoice number. There's the cost. There's the selling price. There's the margin. There's the thermostat. So this is what we brought in through AutoApp's Service Estimator. So we're just sitting on top of our writer, just working through exactly what they're looking through. But what happens is the service advisors ultimately live in what we call Service Estimator here. Now, what you're able to see, if I went and wanted to look at the parts, I can see all the parts are ordered, and that's the order number. Again, I can click on Parts Management and see the time and the date they were ordered. If the parts came in, I simply would select all, and I actually would just simply mark the parts as received. And now I've tracked when the parts came in, and now the technician knows and the service advisor knows which parts are here and not here on that front screen. So the integration with PartsTech is just real smooth and easy. We want to make it really simple. It's very easy to teach a client how to use it, and it doesn't take a real long time. And again, just being able to let you see everything that's going on with that particular vehicle and everything that's getting done with those jobs. And then if you clicked on the jobs, you would see all the jobs right here. And then we've even gone so far in building Service Estimator is I need to assign Robert to all those jobs. We simply would add Robert. It says you want to assign Robert to all the jobs. I just click on yes, and it puts Robert in there. So now Robert's assigned to all those jobs. So if Robert went into what we call Tech Connect, and Tech Connect is for the technician, what we're doing with Tech Connect and with Robert is he's able to just simply look at what he's been assigned to. He's able to go in and click on the jobs, and let's see, he's finished with this job, and he wants to go and start on the water pump. He would simply start on that. He's finished with the brake inspection and mark that finished and clock him into the next job. So now we're clocking that, and then Robert can also see that all his parts are here. So there's Tech Connect for the technician, lets him see his jobs, let him see the parts. There's full-time management between the parts, and this is the products that some of the few products that AutoApps offers clients to make our writer a lot better, and also give you the integration with PartsTech.